So you want to sell everything you own and move full-time into an RV. Ha, right on, I love it because it's my life. But, I'd like to recommend that you first try it on for size and take it for a test drive. Hi, Geo Gypsy here, and I'm here to tell you I love my RV lifestyle. I've been living on the road for over 30 years, and I've lived in almost everything that has wheels and traveled with many different pets, including Zira, who you just saw bounce in. However, RV life isn't for everybody. So I have a few recommendations before you buy. So I'd like to make some recommendations if you're going to go out and shop for RVs. Go to RV stores and shows and take everybody with you who plans to travel or live in the RV. And then when you go inside, everybody goes in at once and see moving around, like, somebody sits on the couch and somebody else is in the kitchen, and then you go into the bedroom. And how much moving around do you have to do to get out of each other's way? Are you stepping on each other? Hey, you know what? Lay down on the beds. Check them out. Is that adequate? Is it too high? Is it too short? Step into the shower. Hey. Yeah, when you go inside, step into the shower and pantomime taking a shower. How many times do your elbows bump? Can you handle that? Remember, it's not usually more than about 10 gallons of hot water, so it's an on and off thing fast, not 6 people in a row. Oh. So if you're going to take a pet with you in your RV, be it a dog or a cat, I've traveled with both. They are part of the consideration. This little girl here, she needs to have a cat pen. And because she's a long-haired girl, I have to tell you, my house is just kind of furry. There's only so much cleaning you can do. Actually, this girl, who was already a rescue from my best friend, and then my friend passed away, and now, of course, this girl, Sierra, she owns me. I'm her slave. She made way more compromises than I did, taking on another living creature. And she's become a very good glamper, actually. So living in the big house, she has a little more space to run around, and more furniture to get on, because you know how cats are. They go wherever they want to. But in my small camper, my truck camper, which there's a video, I'll leave a link down below for a tour of it. That's not even quite 12 feet long in the back of my truck, but we live in that pretty successfully over the winter. So she's really has learned to be a very good glamper. She's a good kitty camper. I don't let her go out, especially because we're in the desert. That's just a bad thing altogether. I've tried. I'll talk about that. Okay, you may think this is really strange, and you don't have to really do it, but sit down on the toilet and then try to reach for the toilet paper holder. Let's see how easy that is to maneuver. Stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down. Again, think about space and comfort for yourself, even in the bathroom. Stand at the kitchen sink, pretend you're doing the dishes. Do you feel comfortable with where those dishes are going to go and dry? Do you have enough counter space for the kind of cooking you do? And, remember that if it's got, stove and an oven, that's great. Those things will work fine on propane or electric. But it may have a microwave. And depending on if you're plugged in or have enough solar power or generators, you may not be using the microwave a lot. Is that something that's important to you? Air fryers and all those plug-in appliances require power. So, maybe you're living with 50 amp service. You may still have to turn one thing off to turn another on, depending on what other things you're running. But The idea is to actually walk around in your cooking area and see if the counters work right for you. Is there enough storage for everything that you think you're going to need? Because remember, everything you put in the RV is heavy. It adds up, and weight is important. Remember when you're going to load an RV with all the things you think you're going to need? Some things you're not going to know about right away. Some things you're going to figure out you didn't need at all. You always have to think about the weight you are adding to your RV, because unlike a stick and brick built home, you can't just keep bringing stuff in until there's nowhere to walk. Every RV has a tag, inside and out probably, that will tell you what it weighs. Dry weight. It means nothing else in it except what it came with. And that might include some of the furniture, but it certainly doesn't include your cast iron fry pan collection. Also remember that part of the weight in your RV is things like you're carrying fresh water. How many gallons of water are you carrying at 8 pounds per gallon? You've got tankage for your gray water and your black water. Those are your sewerage waters. Sometimes they go into the same tank, sometimes they go into separate tanks, but you know, that all weighs as well. So there's that consideration. Um, if you're going to travel with pets, you have to take them into consideration as well. I travel with a cat right now, and that means I have to have a cat pan. And of course, you also have to have food bowls and water bowls out, make sure they're, taken care of. Cat pan can be a problem in an RV. I got lucky. The pan fits in places in both of mine, so that works out all right. Um, some cats are used to coming in and out. Mine used to be, but she doesn't anymore. So I actually tried a harness and a leash with her, thinking that she might like that when she first became a camping kitty. But you know what? It just didn't work. She let me put that harness on her without any problem. And then as soon as we got out the door, plop, she laid down and she wouldn't move again. That was the end of that. If you're traveling with a dog or dogs, again, you have to consider space for them. When it comes to pets on the furniture, their family, I think they get to be on the furniture just like everybody else. So I usually throw sheets over a lot of my furniture. They're really easy to wash, and that helps protect a little bit from hair. The floor, all you can do is the best you can do. Um, Dogs, of course, they're going to have to go out for walks. So, you're either going to have leashes handy, because if you're camping in most places, the dog has to be on a leash. And please respect that. If the rules are dog on leash, please leave your dog on leash, even if that dog is really, really good. Not everybody likes dogs. I love dogs, but, it is what it is. So you may be walking. If you're in a campground or something with your dog, remember you always take poop bags with you, because nobody wants to walk in your dog's poop, no matter where you go walking. And again, you just have to be respectful of the other campers. If you have a barky dog, that's going to be a problem. You're going to miff off your neighbors really bad. So anyway, it is something to consider when you're traveling with pets. So when you're checking out that RV and going in and seeing how all the space is, remember to allow for where your pet is going to be and how that's going to work as well. I've actually seen people do lots of creative things with, uh, there's some cattery things you can build off of windows. If you're traveling, that might not be real convenient. There's a lot of those little pens that are fence-like things, depending on how big or small your dog is. They're even making tent-type things to take outside to put your dog in if you're outside as well. But anyway, so pets are cool to travel with. You just, you have to take them into consideration, and you want to be respectful of everybody around too. So while you're inside and checking everything out, open every single door inside, cupboards, drawers, up above, down below. Most important when you're opening cupboard doors is that you're looking up towards the ceiling where the like corners and such are, and you're looking for evidence of water leakage. Usually that'll mean a little discoloring, or maybe the paper painty stuff that's on the walls will actually be peeling off. So, you want to really pay very close attention to water leakage. And speaking of water leakage, because if there's been water leakage, even if it's been repaired, it's the downfall of RVs. When you're walking around, do some gentle bouncing, because you're trying to make sure that there's no soft spots in the floor, because that's another evidence of water leakage. That's really important. Whether you're buying an RV off of a dealer's lot or from a private party, another very important thing is you want to see absolutely everything working. So that means all the appliances are working. If they're propane, you want to see the propane tanks be turned on. Make sure you don't smell any leakage. When you go inside, you want to be able to see about lighting the stove top or the oven, how that works. You want to hear the fridge running on that propane. If you plan to use the furnace on propane, which is very consumptive of propane, by the way, you want to make sure that works as well. So everything that's associated with that. You also want to see the water running. I mean, is it going to be plugged into city water with a hose? I want to see that working, no leaks, or you're going to be working off of the freshwater tank. So you want to know that the water pump works as well. That's going to be a 12-volt operation, which leads you to a lot of other 12-volt items on an RV, typically lights for sure. Those are going to be run 12 volts. So you want to take a look at the batteries. Again, you just want to make sure absolutely everything is working. Now, I include in that if it's plugged into shore power, whether, does the air conditioner work when it's plugged in? That might be a concern for you as well. But also if it has slides. You want those slides, you want to see them and go in and go out, and everything works real smoothly that way. By the way, when you do see the slides come in, because sometimes these RVs like mine here with 3 slide outs, it's pretty spacious when they're opened up, but when they're closed, it's pretty tight living. And in some cases, when the slides are closed, they actually block access to things you might want to get to. Whether everyone's different, it might be the pantry, the fridge, the stove. It might be the sink. Maybe it's the bathroom you can't get to. So you want to make sure that when the slides are in, you can at least utilize the things you think you might want to use for maybe a quick stop, like you pull into a rest area and you want to use the bathroom and oops, gosh, well, maybe you have to crawl over the bed to get to it. But if you can get the door open with the bed there and the slide in, that's great. Those are things you all want to see working and running. Don't take no for an answer. Remember, when you're inspecting the RV, it's not just about the inside where you live, because this thing goes down the road, it's going to rattle and shake like crazy. And so you need to go outside and check on things there too. I won't say I'm a professional inspector. I've been doing this a long time, so I kind of have a few things that I look for. If you have no idea at all, just hire a professional. I mean, Google it. There's got to be somebody in the nearby area that can help you out with this. You can't blame me. I'm not going to tell you, oh, if you do all of this, you'll be safe and da-da-da. Well, the things to look for, yes. I'm telling you, don't spend money until you do all of this. So, inside, you did it, it's like it satisfied you. You think the space is fine. Go outside and start with the obvious, do a walkabout. Look at the body very well, top to bottom, front to back, back and front. Are there things loose and flopping on it? Is there a lot of silicone holding stuff together? Because silicone is kind of an RVer's friend. But you know what I'm talking about. Just look for the obvious as you walk around the outside. And then while you're doing that, if there's any kind of storage compartments or battery compartments or propane compartments or any other compartments on the outside, well, open them up. Look inside, I mean, what are the floors of those like? What did they smell like? Maybe, I don't know, just check each one out and be thinking about, let's see, I could put such and such in there or here. Remember, everything you add is more weight. You also want to check out where the water hose is hooked up to. You want to check out where the sewer hoses are going to hook up to. Where do you store those things when you're not using them? Consider that as well. You want to see if if there are jacks, you want to see if they're operational. Fifth wheel may have electric jack up and down on the front, crank on the back. Motorhomes could have electrical jacks as well. You want to see them all working. Again, it's like the appliances. You just want to see them all working. Does it have a generator? If it does, hey, you want that thing fired up. And, the best. And then also, what about the awning? Does it have an awning? Well, let's see it opened up and closed back up. And what condition is it in? Because, like me, I don't use my awning. And so I'm kind of afraid to open it up because it'd probably be pretty nasty in there where water might collect. But, these are, again, all considerations that you want to look for when you're doing your outside walkabout. Hey, go kick the tires. It kind of looks like you know what you're doing. But, also you can be pretty much assured that, especially if an RV's been sitting for any length of time, that you're going to be replacing those tires. Just look it all over. And, again, if you're unsure, hire a professional. That's the best thing to do. People who want to try this lifestyle and have never used an RV before often ask, well, which shall I get? That answer is just not so easy because everybody's needs are very different. So a couple of things is, first of all, just go to every RV sales lot you can find and wander through everything they have on the lot, not just the new expensive stuff. Go look at the used things as well. And I think even the most important while you're wandering around and looking in those things is check out different kinds. There's all different things. You've got vans, you've got pop-ups, you have fifth wheels, you have tow trailers, you have motorhomes, and several different kinds and varieties. So look at them all. And I've got some other recommendations too. Please leave the checkbook and credit card at home on this trip. You did not go with an intent to buy, no matter how pushy the salesman may be. While you're looking at the variety of RVs that are out there, you should ask yourself, well, do you want a vehicle that can tow something? And how big is that going to have to be, or beefy, and depending on the size and the weight of something that you're looking at? Or do you want to tow something, usually called the toad, and it doesn't go croak croak, we hope. But it means like pulling a vehicle behind you. And then what kind of vehicle can that be? Because not every vehicle can just be hooked up with a tow bar or a chain, No, you can't use a chain really. But they can't all be towed with all four wheels down. So that's another consideration as well. Do you want just one engine? Do you want something small enough that you can be stealth? Or do you want huge and mega comfortable? I know that a lot of people envy my lifestyle and think, oh, I've got it so great living on the road. Well, I think I do. But I also know that living full-time in an RV isn't for everybody. I hear people talk about this all the time. They're going to retire, sell their house and all their worldly belongings, and buy an RV. Go travel the country. It's a great idea. I love it. But, you might want to try it first. You silly kid, you're just in the way today. I encourage people to give it a try. You won't know unless you give it a wing, and I think renting an RV is a good way to start. Because if you run out and go into debt big time to buy an RV because you sold your house and everything in it, you better have kids in case you decide you don't like it, and maybe you'll be able to move back in with them along with your pet. I think if you're just starting out and considering buying an RV, that you should really just go out and rent one first. See if you really like it. Try some different models and whatever, but give that a wing before you go out and spend a lot of money. And in fact, a used RV is often not a bad deal either, and there's even people you can pay to check those out. Make sure you're not getting a raw deal. There's a lot of different styles of RVs out there, and so you ought to look at several different options in that regard. And remind yourself that no matter what you start off with getting as an RV, it ultimately won't be probably the only RV you ever have, unless you just don't like it and then you get out of the whole thing. A lot of us RVers, we start off, camping in tents, sometimes as kids, or, we take our kids camping and then we work our way up. We like a little more comfort. We might pull a pop up or maybe just a small trailer, and then we work our way up again. It might be a motorhome or a fifth wheel, and ultimately, we may work our way up to about a 40 plus foot whatever mega monster. But a lot of the people I know that have gone up that big, they don't full time all in it anymore, or they decide that it's really more than they need. And so they start to work their way back down in size until they find what fits their comfort zone. You won't know that comfort zone until you've actually gotten out there and given it a try. And I'm going to say for a while anyway. Well, you found the perfect RV for you. Congratulations. I'm so glad. It's a lovely, lovely lifestyle, whether you're full-time, whether you're part-time, boondocking, staying in parks, it makes no difference. I've been doing all those things, and I do love this lifestyle. So, you got it packed up, not overpacked, we hope, and you're ready to hit the road. My first recommendation is stay the first night in the driveway. And that way, any of those things you really forgot that you think you needed really bad, you won't have to drive back for. Because, that first trip, you don't have to go very far away from home anyway. It's all about learning. Have fun out there. Geo Gypsy here. I hope to have some other tips and tricks for you about RVing. And, I really, really hope that you'll hit the subscribe button down below. Thanks a lot for joining me. Be happy, camper.